Let's talk about Peacock and TNT for a moment. Because right now, as far as wrestling goes, they're both in the spotlight. And the reason they're both in the spotlight is due to the fact that one has decided to rummage through and scan through 1,700,000 hours of content to see what's suitable for the service and what's not suitable according to the standards and practices, which is two words as far as being a wrestling fan and being someone in the business you don't want to hear, when it comes to your wrestling being on a certain network or service, if you will. And then let's talk about TNT as well and what's going on with them. First of all, let's touch upon Peacock. You see, Peacock recently, as we know, brokered the deal with WWE to, obtain the entire WWE network service to be part of their service. And I'm sure a lot of fans, even WWE themselves, mostly WWE themselves, those that brokered the deal, are happy that they're going to get more viewers, on their content. They're going to have a bigger platform to get more viewers on their content, or just to watch the content and all that. And I'm sure as a wrestling fan, this is very beneficial because, hey, if you have the Cox or Comcast Xfinity, service, you get it pretty much for free. And that's good, if you will. And you have it bundled along with all these other, shows and, events and everything that are related to Peacock in some way or fashion. But when you as a fan, and maybe, you as somebody in the business hears that your new owners for the next several years are going to rummage through 1,700,000 hours plus of your content to see what's suitable and not suitable, and then remove what's not suitable, it makes you start questioning whether or not this was a good idea or if it wasn't. I mean, a lot of people have come out and said, all Peacock has to do is put up a disclaimer saying that, hey, these don't, represent what we stand for or anything, but we're going to show it as originally meant. The thing is, you start wondering whether or not, like I said, this might have been a good idea, or this might have been a good deal to make. And I'm sure down the line, if there's a opportunity to renegotiate for another several years, that, maybe the representatives of WWE, Paul Levesque, Triple H, Stephanie, whoever, they may come forward and say, look, we get what you're doing, we understand what you're doing, especially because of this day and age and culture, but all you have to do is do what everybody else has done when it comes to stuff like that, put a disclaimer. And hopefully down the line they do that. If not, probably already doing it as we speak. Because there's a lot of moments, I'll agree, there are a lot of moments in wrestling. WWE and the promotions that WWE owns the promotions libraries that WWE owns the rights to, there are a lot of controversial moments, sprayed throughout, that, would in today's day and age and culture not be seen as funny or gimmicky or, part of the entertainment or anything. It would be looked at as being racist or being too controversial and stuff like that. So, I can get, where Peacock's coming from because of what's going on now with things like cancel culture and the Karens and all that. I get that. I understand that. But here's the thing. When you purchase a service and you have the rights to that service, you should try to keep that service as is, and maybe what you should do is follow suit with what other services have done and just put a disclaimer. But now, again, like I said, you have to put yourself in WWE's shoes and wonder if maybe they're starting to realize this may have not been a good idea, and then if after the 5-year deal, whether or not they extend it or they don't, which I'm sure a lot of people after hearing this, on what Peacock's doing, would hope they don't. You have to wonder whether or not, they might, just decide after the next 5 years to resurrect the WWE network, once again as its own service. You have to wonder that. So, yeah, Peacock, I can understand, we can all understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, but honestly, everybody has agreed that the simplest solution, just put a disclaimer and you're good to go. But speaking of services and networks, let's talk about TNT. TNT since 2019, October 2019, has been the home of AEW Dynamite. And since that moment, they've basically allowed you know, AEW Dynamite and the superstars involved to say a lot of things, swear, have blood, have violence if they needed it. And yet, as of last week, well, not last week, 2 nights ago actually, things started to change. Now, a couple of weeks ago, they had some issues where there was an NBA games broadcast, interfering with the AEW broadcast. It was like, what's going on here? There was, even with the pay-per-views, there was like situations going on where, certain matches were, not being seen the way they should be or whatever. Well, not the pay-per-views actually. I think it was Ethan Page's debut on Dynamite that there was certain things going on, certain issues, and then, like I said 2 nights ago, all of a sudden you're hearing, Chris Jericho and a lot of people swearing, and the swearing's being bleeped out. And this is something that's not been done since, AEW Dynamite came onto TNT, and now it is. Now, true, over the past year or so, there has been a, change in leadership, at Warner Media and certain divisions like TNT. And one of those leadership changes is of somebody that I can't think of his name right now, that particularly isn't fond of wrestling, just like the previous guy before him 20-something years ago. So you have to think whether or not that this is all his doing, along with other people, making these sudden changes and stuff like that. And you have to wonder that in the next couple of years of whether or not AEW Dynamite is going to have a home on TNT if this keeps up. Now, perhaps there might be another change in leadership at Warner Media and the TNT division and things will be okay. But you have to wonder whether or not, if nothing changes and things like this continue, like these sudden like bleeping of swear words, there's audio issues, these interference of, other games, broadcast, interfering with the AEW broadcast, stuff like that. You have to wonder whether or not, AEW Dynamite's going to remain on TNT any longer after the 2023-2024, year is up. Because if there's no changes behind the scenes, executive-wise at Warner Media and TNT, then AEW Dynamite may have to start looking for a new home. And I think that's the last thing Tony Khan wants to do. I mean, yeah, he has the money to find a new home, there's no doubt. But I think that's the last thing he and his family wants to do. Because if his father, hears, oh, I got to find a new home, network-wise or television-wise for AEW Dynamite, his father may be like, hey, see, I told you so. This wasn't a good investment. Time to shut it down. But we don't know. We don't know. But yeah, right now it doesn't. But right now it looks like TNT, is trying to overstep the boundaries and stuff. With AEW Dynamite, when they shouldn't. I mean, yes, the show's on their network, but come on, seriously. It's supposed to be an alternative of wrestling that fans want to see. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. What are your thoughts on both situations here as far as Peacock and TNT go? What are your thoughts on, how things are going? Do you think think something is going to change down the line? What are your thoughts overall? Comment if you like, and I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. Peace.